So you buying a car after the floods? You need to be extra, extra careful, and here's why.
Yeah, baby girl. You know what I wanna do. Come on. Yeah, baby girl.
So, you want to buy a new car right now. You're thinking, now I might get a bargain because so many people might be wanting to sell their car super quick and super cheap to get some quick money because of all the flooding and things that's going on. You might think this might be the perfect time to buy. Yeah, maybe it could be. Or maybe it could be the absolute worst idea you ever had. And this is why. Because right now, there is tons of cars that people are going to be wanting to get rid of. Because for many reasons. One being maybe their car was flooded. Maybe their car was literally underwater. Maybe they were stupid enough to drive through tons of water and they just now feel like, hey, did you hear that noise before? I don't remember that noise being there. Or, hey, how come the air conditioner's suddenly not working? Or why is that seem to be flickering off and on? Something don't seem right. Or, hey, it just won't start. Maybe we should get rid of it because it might be because you damaged it from driving through flood water. At the end of the day, it is not a good idea to buy a car without doing your absolute best to investigate, check, and make sure that it is a safe car and one that is not suffering from flood water damage. These are some of the pointers I'm going to give to you to make sure you can do that. And yes, you can. You can do it. You can do it yourself. You don't have to pay someone freaking $300, $400 and freaking, feel like, geez, that was a big chunk of money I didn't want to spend. You can do it yourself. There's some things you can look for yourself. And let me tell you some of these right now. Number one, you could actually literally just tell a bit about the car from this thing on your face here. Your nose. That's right, your nose. You can get into a car and you can smell sometimes that mildewy, that moldy kind of smell. That's what happens when a car has been inundated with tons of water, sitting for a long period of time. You kind of get that smell, and that smell is hard to get out. Doesn't matter how much freaking aerosol sprays and freaking little freaking tree fragrance things that you try to hang up. It don't matter. It's hard to get rid of that stench. It's there, and it's probably there possibly because the car got flooded. Another thing you can look for, though, is using these things here. These things, yeah, those two things right there. You can look and you can see if there is maybe signs of water being in the vehicle. Maybe there's like some mold that you can see. Maybe you can see a water line. Maybe there's like some freaking leftover debris in the car, even for that matter. Maybe you can look around and see mud, caked up mud, dirt. Maybe you might see some rust. Maybe you might see some corrosion. Maybe you might see some freaking water smear marks and puddles that just look, why is that there? That looks weird. I don't understand. Why is that there? Like, use your eyes and look to see if anything looks out of place or out of the ordinary. It just doesn't look right. Use these things right here and you will be able to do a thorough inspection of the vehicle on the inside and the outside to see if anything just looks wrong. You might see tons of dirt caked up underneath the bottom of the car and you're like, why is it so caked up under there? You might see grass growing where it shouldn't be growing. You never know. You might find a fish in the trunk of the car. Why is there a fish in the trunk of the car? You just don't know. So use these and use this. You're already off to a good start. See, there you go. other things to look for with these things here is things like milkiness in the engine oil. If the engine oil suddenly looks like it freaking is a freaking cappuccino, a cafe latte, if it looks like, wait a minute, that's not really supposed to be white, I don't think. If you see on the cap, like take the freaking dipstick out, or also just use the freaking like the lid, the oil cap, screw that bad boy off. If you see something that don't look like engine oil, or the engine oil that you thought looks like engine oil in your brain hole, it might not be engine oil no more. It might be a little bit of a freaking chocolate milkshake action happening. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, look for stuff like that. Look for things like that. Look for blown fuses. Check the fuses. See if any of the fuses look like they're just suddenly weirdly blown. Why is that fuse there blown? Might be because it suffered some type of electrical damage because of all the water that hit it. You know, check underneath the dash of the car and stuff. You know, you might be able to see some wires, some cables that look a bit brittle and things like that. Check to see if the cables feel brittle, if they feel a bit, you know, just check the wiring and stuff. It feels kind of brittle and stuff. It might be because it was floating in water. So check for all that kind of stuff. Be on the lookout if the radiator inside, if it looks like there's more water in it than it should be in there, you know, or if there's water in places that there shouldn't be any water. Check and see these things. These are all telltale signs that something's just not right. Okay, so this is already, you're off to a good start. You're already learning right now that, hey, you know, maybe I don't have to pay someone to figure this out. But look, at the end of the day, you also need to use these things here. See these things here? Use these things. When you go and start the car, listen to it. Listen for any weird sounds. Listen if you hear any knocking. Listen to if you hear the engine is not idling properly, if it's fluctuating, if it doesn't seem to be idling smoothly or anything like that. Use these things here. These things will help you hear anything that sounds out of the ordinary. Be listening for it. Listen for any cracks, pops, and stuff that might be little shorting out cables and wires or things. Use that to your advantage when buying one of these cars. These right here, these right here, these right here, and use this. Your super weapon right there to tell if this car is possibly a car that is not going to be a good buy for you, and it might end up being a good buy for you. You know what I mean? So check that, do that. Make sure everything works inside of the car. You know, make sure that when you turn the wind wipers on, they actually turn on, or when you turn the wind wipers on, suddenly the indicator doesn't come on, or the air condition doesn't come on because the wiring's all messed up now. Or make sure it just comes on, period. Make sure you turn the radio on and it actually sounds like a radio and not like a freaking seesaw or something. I don't know. I freaking just make sure everything works the way it should work. Test everything out. Little things you can do to make sure that there isn't any other damage is just making sure your air conditioning's working, your heater's working. Like, check all of these things. Check everything. Check underneath the seats. Take this thing right here and use this to your advantage. Rub it on carpets and floors and ceilings where there's just everywhere. The rooftop, the roof lining of your car, the freaking underneath the seats, the carpets, the trunk. Just see if anything feels wet, feels damp, feels like, wait, why is that wet? I don't understand. Did you decide to go for a swim in your car? No, but my car decided to go for a swim because it was flooded. Just check all of those things, guys. Check that the car starts up easily. Check to make sure that you don't see any other little things that shouldn't be there. You know what I'm saying? Check everything and don't be afraid to ask questions. And you can usually tell if someone is freaking being on the up and up with you. Also, do your homework and check which suburbs were flooded in your neighborhood. You know, check what town, you know, wherever you are in the world. Maybe, you know, where I'm at the moment, just here in Queensland, there's just been huge floods all around Queensland and New South Wales. And certain areas have really gone like bad, completely under, completely houses covered, cars floating in the water covered, completely done. So there's going to be a lot of these vehicles that are going to be on the market, and you might think you're getting a good deal, but you might not be. So do your homework and make sure you're checking to see, is that an area that might have been flooded? Is that an area that historically floods? You can find all this information out online. Do your homework. You can also do a history check using the VIN of your car to see if it has been written off previously from water damage or things like that. Do your homework. Even if the car seems to be, everything is great and perfect, do your homework. You can do a check, costs $2, and you can find out the history of a car. You can find out if it's been written off, or if it's been flooded or things like that. So yeah, do your homework. And yes, by the way, I am wearing a mask. I know there's like a no mask mandate. It's not recommended, blah, 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 but it's recommended, but not mandatory. I'm wearing this mask, not on my nose, as you can see, because I don't need to. I'm in the van. Why do I need to wear a mask at all? I'm like by myself, of course, but I'm doing it to remind you that there is still a pandemic, even though there is floods and all these other things going on. Hate to tell you, but there's still a pandemic going on as well. So just a little bit of a reminder for you guys, and I do that intentionally. So there you go. If you're wondering why is she wearing a mask and trying to talk and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's why I'm that person who's going to remind you. Anyways, guys, take care. Be safe. I hope some of those tips helped you. There's probably some other stuff that I could have said, but I think I pretty much covered the main things that should get you out of trouble. And ultimately, if you don't feel comfortable or knowledgeable enough to know if a car that you want to purchase is absolutely a good deal or running properly or in good condition or roadworthy or all these different things, then call a professional to come and have a look for you. They'll be able to, lead you in the right direction. Okay? So thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful wherever you are in the world. I hope you're being safe and take care of yourself. And as always, remember to each one to the fullest and to keep it off tap, out.